One of the cool new features of Packet Tracer 6.1 is the ability to upgrade the Cisco 2960 series switch from iOS 12.2 all the way up to iOS 15. So let's give it a try. In order to upgrade the 2960 series switch to iOS 15, you're going to need to have a server, and I've already dragged a server out right here. You just click on End Devices, grab the server, drag it out, and you're going to need to give it an IP address. I've already given the IP address on my server 192.168.1.250 with a /24-bit subnet mask. So I've already given it a address. Now what I'll do is I'm going to go to Services and show you that the iOS 15 for the 2960 series switch is under TFTP, and you can scroll. These are all the files in our TFTP server. And if you look down, go down to 2960, the last 2960 iOS file, bin file, is 150. That is iOS 15 right here. So the iOS 15 bin file for 2960 series switch is on the TFTP server on the server. So all we need to do is transfer that image file over to the switch and then have the switch boot to that iOS instead of its current iOS. Now to do that, we're going to use boot system commands on the switch. So now all we have to do is configure the switch. Now the server has the IP address configured, but the switch does not. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'll open up the switch and I'm going to select the command line interface, which emulates a console terminal session. So all I have to do is click enter, and I've got now a console connection to the switch. I'll type enable to get to privileged user mode and conf t to get to global config mode, and we want to give it an IP address, so I'm going to say interface VLAN1 IP address 192.168.1.2 and the subnet mask 255.255.255.0 and the no shut command because it's currently shut down. So now the switch has an IP address. I'm going to do a Control-C on my keyboard and just show you that right now, if I do a show flash command, that in the flash memory on the switch, you can see that the current image that's in here, let's see if I can drag this out and open it up a little bit more, is the C2960 LAN base image 122. This is 12.2, revision, let's say 25. So what we want to do is upload the new iOS image and then get the switch to boot to the new image. Also, I can do a show version command, and if I scroll up to the top, we can see that the current iOS, Cisco iOS software C2960, is version 12.2. So we're verifying that that's there. So what I need to do is copy that other iOS image into the switch. Now, to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the server, go to the TFTP server. I'm going to select the correct image here, and then I'm going to hit Control-C on my keyboard, and that should copy the name of this iOS bin file to my buffer. So I did a Control-C on my keyboard to copy the name, and now I'll go back to the switch, and I'm ready to TFTP that file over. Now before I do so, I'm going to see if I can ping the PC. So I'll ping 192.168.1.250. All right, I'm able to ping. So now let's copy it over with TFTP. I'll do a copy TFTP flash. So this means copy from the TFTP server to our flash memory where our iOS is located. I'll hit enter. It's going to ask me for the IP address 192.168.1.250. That's the IP address of the TFTP server. Now the source file name, which I copied into my memory buffer, all I need to do is right click here and select paste, and the correct image name of the bin file is pasted in. Notice it says 150 here. I'll hit enter, and the destination file name, it's going to suggest within brackets the same name. We want to accept the default and not change the name of the iOS bin file. That would be a big mistake. We want to leave it the exact same way it is. And you can see that it's copied over. We've got the exclamation points here indicating a successful copy over the TFTP protocol. And now I'll do a show flash. And you can see I've now have both iOS image files in my flash memory. So now all I have to do is tell the switch to boot to this new image. Now there's two ways that we can get it to boot to this new image. One is to use a boot system command and tell it to boot to the new image, or I could simply delete the original image, or the image that was there before, the 12.2 image, and when the switch boots up, it'll look for the first iOS bin file that's available on the switch, and it'll find the new one and it'll boot to the new one. Let's get some practice in using boot system commands and do it that way though. So I'll do a conf T to get to global config mode, boot space question mark. Notice that the next command is system, boot space system space question mark, and you can see that it wants the path list. So for the path list, I'm going to type flash for flash memory, colon, and then right click and paste, once again paste in the file name for the IOS15 bin file. There it is, boot system flash colon, and then the bin file name. I'll hit enter, and now I've set the boot system variable, told it to boot to the new iOS. I'm going to exit back to privileged user mode and save my configuration by doing a copy run start command. All right, and I'm all good now. I've saved the configuration. I can reload the switch, restart the switch by using the reload command, and you can see that it's booting to the new bin file with iOS 15. I will hit enter here, enable show version. You can see here at the bottom of the output of the show version command, we're running iOS 15. If I scroll up to the top of the output of the show version command, Cisco iOS software 2960 switch, version 15.0, revision 2, SE4. So this is iOS 15. So now the 2960 series switch is now running iOS 15. Pretty cool.